Hello, good evening, and a very warm welcome to Rangers Radio.
Hello, good evening, and welcome to Rangers Radio. Joining myself, Robert, on the show tonight is your AK. Evening, AK.
Evening, Rob.
And we're also being joined by our Southside. Evening, Southside.
Evening, Robert. Good to be on with yourself and AK tonight. And I give a shout out to the troops on YouTube channel and everybody else listening on Facebook tonight.
Good to have both yourselves. AK, how you doing this evening, mate? All good?
Aye, fine. Looking forward to the game on Thursday, Rob. Usual.
It's getting too close to that stage already, mate, isn't it?
Yeah.
Southside, how you doing, mate? Obviously, not spoke to you since last week. How's things, mate?
Aye, all good, mate. Obviously, the team get a win at the weekend. Always cheers you up, doesn't it, Robert?
It does indeed, mate. It does indeed. We'll come on to that with yourself in a wee minute. Obviously, I know you were at the game, so it'll be good to get your side of view. Me and AK's been on. Obviously, I done the game on Sunday, and AK was on last night, so it'll be good to hear what your thoughts are, mate. Obviously, being at the game, the atmosphere, the tension, the relief and things. I believe you've got a wee shout out, first of all, for us, mate, tonight.
Aye, probably a lot of listeners know, and our good friend Billy, it's part of the show, and phones in regular as well, and has also been on here and done shows with a lot of us. He climbed Ben Lomond yesterday. Today. He climbed Ben Lomond today with his best pal Stuart, who's an ex-paratrooper. I know Stuart's been a lot more experienced in climbing Monroe's. Billy done his first Monroe today, guys. And it was in memory of his boy, Greg Scott. He would have been 35, his 35th birthday. So Billy made a trek 3,200 feet with Stuart up Ben Lomond today. And it wasn't great conditions for the two of them, but they got to the summit and they put a big banner and a flag up in memory of Greg. So I'd just like to say personally to Billy, well done, mate. Must have been hard and emotional during the journey, but very well done on behalf of everybody at Rangers Radio. We salute you, mate, for what you've done today. As you know, I believe Billy done 26,201 steps. He was telling me to get to the top. And I think he's going to be a bit lighter in calories as well by the end of the journey. But it would have been emotional for him today, guys. But I'd just like to thank him and Stuart. He sent me some stuff in the day and done a wee video, and I've seen it all. So I'd just like to say well done to Billy and Stuart today for what they've done.
AK.
I'll completely echo these sentiments, Southside. Well said indeed, and well done, Billy. That would have been hard for you, pal. Very emotional. But a great cause as well to you remember your son by that, and he'll never be forgotten. So well done, Billy, and your pal for assisting you and supporting you on your journey there. So well done for all yours, mate. Well done.
Aye, brilliant, I said, guys. Again, Billy, tremendous achievement, mate. Well done. As Southside said, on behalf of everybody at Rangers Radio, on behalf of all the listeners, mate, we applaud you for your effort, your commitment, your dedication. It's a remarkable thing you've done, and as AK said, it's a sad thing to go through, but your boy won't be forgotten, mate. Again, all our thoughts are with yourself, mate. Right, Southside, how did you find the game Sunday, mate? Obviously, being at the game, much needed win, which we got, but we didn't make it easy at all, mate, did we?
First 5-10 minutes, obviously Livingston came out the traps. They had one or two wee sort of chances. After that, if I'm honest, Robert, I thought we cruised it. I thought we opened them up quite a lot. I thought we made a lot of chances. Thought we dominated the ball in the first half. I thought some of the passages of play were quite good. Obviously, we're moving the ball a bit quicker out the back. It's not been as sort of worryingly in the last game or two. I think it's got slightly better. But I thought we were in top for most of the first half, if I'm honest. And I think it was a good, well-worked goal that we scored. Gassman was getting free quite a lot on the left, and it was a deep cross, and that man probably was where he should be, and near the run about the back post area. I mean, he knocks it back across Tav, scissor kick, and it was a good goal to score. And I think if we'd scored the penalty, Robert, and to go 2-0 up at that time, or even Majovski scores early in the first half and he's a great chance, I thought we'd have cruised the game in the first half and it would have been a lot more. So I thought on the first half performance, Robert, I thought it was really good, and I think we were ball dominant for most of the game against them, and we just didn't score enough. But we had enough chances, Robert, I thought, in that first half.
AK, it's almost the same as almost every week. We've got chances. Other games maybe we've not created as many, but certainly this weekend we did create a lot more attacking phases and attacking chances. As Southside said, the Majovski chance was a guilty chance. You're expecting him to slot it away home. And I touched on it on Sunday. For me, the Tavernier penalty, the penalties we've seen him put away, it was poor from his standards, because I'm expecting him to go a top corner rather than down the middle. And as Southside says, AK, there are two chances that would have put the game to bed early doors, which would have made the second half look less nervy and less criticised, I suppose.
We've said before in previous games as well, it's all about taking your chances when they come, and we didn't. So at 1-0, Livingston are still in the game, and obviously they've got a chance to regroup at half time and maybe exploit a couple of weaknesses and we've got in our defence, which they certainly did. I think the surface obviously plays its part in that as well. Russell Martin mentioned that it got a bit drier as the game went on. It certainly looked an improvement for previous years, but I've no doubt when you go on the surface, it'll still not be nice to play on. But that's just what our Livingston can afford today. I mean, there are plenty of other clubs in Scotland that use that 4G pitch, and most of them aren't any good. And we've got another one to look forward to, Falkirk, when we return for Europe. But I believe their pitch is a bit better than others. So it was a sticky game, and they came into it. We didn't take our opportunities as much as we should have to make it more comfortable, and that's where the problems arise.
Southside, when Livingston got the equaliser, did you think, here we go again, another draw, or were you confident enough that we'd have got another chance and got the winner before it did eventually come?
You're always hopeful. Listen, I think the players' attitude, Robert, for the start of the second half was absolutely deplorable. They came out there in the second half. Obviously, Livingston come out. It was a sort of quick start, but we were going through the motions. We weren't running faster. We weren't tackling. I know the part does play a part, right? The bounce of the ball and stuff. It looked a bit sticky. It looked a nice surface, but I don't think it was really great for the players, because a lot of your players were slipping in that. But the contrast to the first half performance for your team after about 5-10 minutes to the end of that half, to what they came out like and started in the second half, is down to the players, in my opinion, Robert. And I thought they were all shocking, and it was abysmal to sit and stand there and watch a Rangers team be second to Boz, and no try to get back on the front foot like they did in the first half. And the longer they get in, and at the time I looked across, Russell Martin at the time was starting to get subs on, because I think he needed a fresh injection, because in my opinion, Robert, the players were going through their emotions. And then obviously they get the goal. Obviously then you get a reaction, because he's making different changes and he's bringing players on. And then we started mounting pressure onto them. And then again they'd have a breakaway up the park or whatever, but on the whole, we were sort of peppering their sort of area in their goal. Their goalkeeper had a couple of decent saves in the second half, but eventually we got the winner. And to be honest, I think we deserved it. And I thought, because at the end of the day, we've been to Livingston a good few times, and one or twice in the last good number of years, we've probably done quite well there, playing wise for the other 90 minutes. But it was a sticky game. Obviously, when they get the goal back and they look what was left on the clock, you were thinking, here we go again. But we got there in the end, Robert, and at the end of the day, when you go to watch Glasgow Rangers, you want to see a win, and I don't care how it comes, whether it be the last couple of minutes or no. We were flinging everything at it. The players' attitude changed possibly with the players that come on the park to try and lift it. But in my opinion, the players take a lot of responsibility for how they started that second half, Robert.
Were you surprised with the second half performance, given how positive the first half was? Or with as I say, the passage of play was noticeable. There was certainly a lot more faster movement. They were spreading the ball wide to Gassama. They were kind of working it in the middle in the triangles, give and goes, but it just seemed to all stop that second half. Were you surprised by that, given the fact that it was still only 1-0 at that time?
Aye, 100%. I mean, the game's only 1-0, and you know, no matter who the team is and the calibre of them in the Premier League, they're going to try and come out. And they're looking for a reaction to start the second half. I'm looking for my team to come out and go and get back on the front foot and hopefully get the second goal, maybe even the third goal, and put the game out of sight like it could have been in the first half. We created enough chances. We were ball dominant in a lot of the game. Like you said, playing some no bad wee passes. Gassama was always free on the left. We were always finding him in that first half. I just think the attitude was stinking of the players. I mean, they came out in the second half, they just trapped half the pace. And that's why I think Russell Martin decided to call a few of them back that were warming up, but just as he was about to change it, they score. Again, not being fast enough out to your man. They'd worked that sort of corner before, and just playing it short and then letting the man fire the ball into the box. Big shooter, miles off that header. It was his man. He should have made sure he won the ball in the air, and he never. And there we go, we lose a goal from it. And like I say, in the shorter space time it was left, he obviously had to keep flinging subs on and try and get that goal. And Max Aarons eventually comes up with a goal for us. But I thought we actually deserved the win, to be honest, on Sunday. But we shouldn't have been in that position. The game should have been out of sight after the first 45 minutes, Robert.
AK Southside, right? It should have been done and dusted by half time, but it is, again, coming back to being clinical, especially in that final third, taking the chances, because they are the games that if you don't take them, you do slip up and you do drop points, and they become crucial even at this stage of the season. Every point's crucial for us at this minute.
It is, mate, it is, but we've seen this movie before, and it doesn't matter the manager that's in the dugout. The lack of leadership on the park, the lack of game management, the lack of drive, it comes for the players. As soon as they cross that white line, it's up to them, and they should recognise when the game is actually changing, and don't allow it to change. You know, still win your battle, still play the game. There's only one goal deficit, and as long as that, you know, the game goes on, Livingston's still in the game. You know, so you need that second and third goal to kill opponents. As far as the goals concerned, I know where Southside's coming for blaming Suter. I say possibly that Butland could have came for it. He might have known. There are plenty of defenders in that box. Seeing a look at it again, I think Rangers have actually got about 8 players within the box. Where the goal I can point fingers at is they're not taking responsibility for that throw-in. The guy went out there to match his man, but he's also expecting his pal to come with him. He's outnumbered. You cut the ball off at source, that ball's no coming into the box. So the goal doesn't happen then. We were caught sleeping. There's people within that box hiding that's no go to man to mark, and they were switched off for that throw in. Livingston take advantage of it. Simple ball in, big Silla, boom, one each, you know, all of a sudden you're into a game. It was terrible defending, needless. But that's on us. That's the way our season's been going. Lack of responsibility, people hiding, things like that. We always seem to come up short, and then eventually we get the winner in injury time. And I don't know if it was Big Stevie and yourself, but there was a couple of boys running onto the park, I know.
On up Southside.
I talk about the big game. No, certainly no. I'm not that badly behaved, you know that. No, I met the big game. Big Stevie, on Sunday. I met him outside the stadium with a wee chat with him and stuff. And it's like anything. There was a few tickets, obviously, outside the stadium up for sale. It's one of the games where you usually give you 3 sides of the stadium, as you know. But aye, it was good to see the big game on Sunday, mate. Get a bit of patter off him.
Just lastly, Southside, obviously we get the goal and there's scenes of celebration, scenes of relief, but AK touched on it last night, it instantly turned to the manager chants again, which are taking view on that, mate. Obviously, there's a lot of tension, a lot of pressure, but we were winning the game, we scored the winner, but the focus seemed to swiftly change back to the manager.
Aye, it did. It's a bit unusual, but I think that's probably a lot of the support probably saying it doesn't matter that we've just scored a goal and won the game. Probably we've seen the game winning 2-1, we still want them out. Which, listen, people all paid their money on Sunday. They're entitled to shout and ball if they want. I didn't. I was happy we scored a goal and we were going to win the game 2-1 and get 3 points and get up the road, if I'm honest. It'll be what it'll be and time will tell. But at the end of the day, it was vocal and you heard it throughout the game at times. And also at the end, Ibrox was getting sang, which was quite good to hear because where I was and where it was started behind the other goal with the UB and stuff, it was certainly loud. And I've seen a few of the players reacting to it towards the end, looking at the stands and sort of clapping. So, aye, it was good that finished the sort of at the end for the support. But aye, as when we scored the goal, the chant of Russell Martin, aye, it was loud and clear. But at the end of the day, we got 3 points, mate. We won the game of football, and that's what we want to see as supporters.
Absolutely, mate. Absolutely. Right, gents, we better get these phone lines open then and see what the callers have got to say tonight. So let's hear from you.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Aye, come give us your thoughts. Let us know what you thought of the weekend's game. If you thought it was a relief game, if it's how big the points are going to be, and obviously we've got a big game coming up Thursday night. But AK, we're in between games, so just to kind of break it up a wee bit, mate, just to get away from obviously Sunday and before we preview Thursday night. A lot's been said, mate, about obviously Russell Martin and his style of playing, philosophy that he won't change and he'll stick to it. He's not the only manager or head coach, whatever title you give him, that's in that position of having a philosophy and sticking to it. If you look down south, Man United probably stands out quite similar to our position. They've got a manager who likes to play the 3-5-2, no matter who he's playing, sticks to it. He's come under some criticism of late, along the likes of the same as Russell Martin has. Is it just a modern day now, mate, that there's managers with these philosophies that they will stick to it because it's what they know and what they believe in? Because if you look at Ruben Amorim, he was successful with Sporting Lisbon with the 3-5-2, but he's certainly not shown it with Man United.
I would. It's all very well having philosophies and sticking with them, but you need to be successful. And it's all very well being successful in the Portuguese league, with Sporting Lisbon are one of the 3 strongest clubs within that league there. Probably Braga just in behind, and you get Boa Vista and that as well. It's not the most competitive league across Europe, but they still do well in European competition, don't get me wrong, but it's no anywhere near the strength and depth of the English Premier League offer. But it's far stronger than the Scottish League. Ruben Amorim is 3-4-3, by the way. That's what he liked to play at Sporting Lisbon, and that's the system that he's tried to implement at Man United. But he's been there long enough now, and I think Erik ten Hag before him had similar issues where he was trying to implement his style of play. See, if you don't have the personnel to play that style of play, square pegs and round holes. We've spoke about it for long enough with a load of different managers that we've had. If you don't have the personnel to play that, then I think you need to, adapt your philosophy and play to your strengths. Play to what you've got. That's what the good managers do. Your Jose Mourinho's, even Pep is changed his style. Walter certainly did. Fergie did. All the greats change their style to what they've got. It's all very well, as I say, having your philosophy and how you want your team to play, and if it's pretty in the eye, even better. But see, if you want a longevity to get to where you want to be, it's all about winning. You need to win, and that comes with the culture of the club. You need to know the club that you're walking into, the history, the traditions, everything that goes with it. Do your due diligence on the club as well. And I've no doubt that Russell Martin would have had people in there looking at certain aspects of why it's went wrong for the last 10 years, as did Clement last year or 18 months ago when he got the job. There's a reason for it, and it might well be down to the no great structure as what Clement had there to support him. Finances might not be great. Restrictions with FFP, that might be holding you back. Different other aspects, but you need to go in there and realise what you're getting into. I think Amarim is been in there at Man United, and he's tried to change a lot of things far too quickly. All about his philosophy and all about him. And I think Russell Martin has made the exact same mistake. It's all about him rather than looking at the squad, looking at the league, and see what sort of style of footballer that you need to be a winner. You need to turn up for your work first and foremost. You need to be robust enough to play all the games, and then build for that foundation. I looked at the thing last night, Rob. See your defence, and we've spoken about it before. You look at the defence that started there at the weekend with Magoma, Cornelius, Suter, Tavernier. Right, 2 of them leave at the end of the season. 2 of them are loans. You look below that, you've got Ziger and Aarons, both loans, and then that just leaves you Fernandez and Ciala. If you want to build successful teams, like Souness did, you start for the back. He's trying to build a house on sand for me, and that's where it's gone wrong.
Southside.
Aye, listen, I know we've got loan players in. It could have been that we knew we were losing strikers. People in the background at our club knew what players were probably wanting out the door. There's probably 1 or 2 still in that squad. They knew they were probably thought or wanted to go out the door, but it hasn't materialised, so they have to knuckle down. People in the background will know that. So, and it's down to the players that thought they might have been leaving that are still here, that need to go out and perform on a weekly basis. I'm not too concerned the fact that we've got all these lone players at the back, because I think we knew deep down that Dessers and Igaman was probably going to go, and they 2 alone scored a decent amount of goals in a season, so that had to be replaced. So we obviously went to try and front load probably the striking department. Obviously Chimati nobody even gave a thought to, but we went and got Majowski, and it cost us a few quid to get him, somebody that we knew could score goals in Scotland. So you could have built a foundation at the back, but if we hadn't went and got maybe the 2 of them who may prove in the long run to start scoring goals, whether it's under this manager or a new manager, irrespective, I think they will score goals when they're presented with chances. So maybe that's why they've done it, and they thought, well, if we bring this one and that one in, hopefully they'll be successful for us for the season. We might go out and buy a centre-back, or there might be somebody that we know we can get at the start of next season to come in to the defence and stuff. We don't know. So it depends on what way you want to look at it, AK. Aye, we've got all the players that are probably going to be leaving, right, I get it. But it's not to say that we'll not have a good structure in our defence either come January signings or the summer next season. We probably brought these players in at the time, the ones that are playing now, because they probably thought they could do a job, Robert.
Aye, AK, could it just be that the guys we've got in on loan are the guys that were available, because maybe the ones that were better to buy weren't they available, or they were out with the market, and that's why we've shopped in the loan market? Or do you think we've we're taking a big risk, obviously, with the amount of loans in the defensive position.
See, to be honest with you, I think going back to what Southside said there, I think Kevin Thelwell, and I don't know how much input Russell Martin has on this, but they've went top heavy on their investments on Marchit, Chermiti, Miovski, but they also brought in Antman and Gassama. So they're basically front loaded, looking to score goals, but we're no scoring goals, nowhere near the amount that it should be to win games. So because of that, it's maybe limited the budget to the sort of, you know, the standard of defender that we could have went. When there was talk about Connor Cody at the start of the season and he ended up going to Wrexham, I think he would have been an ideal guy. But maybe numbers didn't quite add up, or maybe we stalled for too long and he needed an answer right away. And that's when Wrexham came in and gave him the deal that he was looking for. But I think it was. I think there was a situation actually where Clement was in a similar position last year, where he thought. I think it was at Cordobo that went to Norwich. He thought he had him a tied done deal, and we ended up going to get Robin Proper for Holland, who on paper was a good buy, because on reflection, when you've seen what he'd done with his previous club, his credentials and all that, plus the transfer fee wasn't overly committed for us, but obviously the standard, the quality there just isn't there. We're hoping that Cornelius is going to work well with Big Suitor, but the fact we've only got one recognised left back in the club and the right back, Tavernier, who we all thought was basically, you know, edging out the door and we're going to get limited appearances out of him. The fact that he's still our main right back doesn't augur well for what we're trying to, you know, build the team going forward off it. What's your own thoughts on it, Rob? I know you came to, but comparisons with Man United, Amaram, you know, Russell Martin, what's your own thoughts, pal?
I think it's just a modern manager or head coach these days, mate. A lot of it is about showcasing football in a way that maybe 5-10 years ago it wasn't. They've got this idea that how they want their teams to look on the park, how they move the ball, rather than just going to win a game. I mean, you could, as a coach, you could do the basics and win 1-0 or 3-0. At the end of the day, it's still 3 points. I think there's a lot more focus now on how it's delivered in terms of entertainment value. Now, if you ask any supporter, would you want to be entertained or do you want to win games? The answer is always going to be win games. It doesn't matter, as Southside said earlier, it doesn't matter about how you win these games. It's just the importance of winning them. I think that a lot of modern day coaches get bogged down too much about trying to showcase something that it's not really what the fans are wanting. They all want wins, they all want success, but you could have 80% possession over a whole season, average possession, but have nothing to show for it. Whereas you could have 25% possession and have 2 cups and come second place in the league. I think that's what you'd all want to do. Do you know what I mean? I think that's where it goes down to, mate. But if you're looking at comparison with Rangers and Man United, just as a club kind of similar to ourselves in stature and global brand, there's a lot of similarities you can make, mate. And even in the past 10, 13 years or so, we've had 10 managers in the same space of time. We've had 9. So that's 2 big, massive clubs that have had a lot of change, a lot of transition. And it's safe to say that both clubs have regressed over the kind of seasons of recent. Yeah, Man United have won a Europa League. We were a post width away from winning the Europa League. But in terms of their dominance in the leagues and how they perform, there's a lot that you can compare with, mate, and it's staggering. And obviously a factor in that is Patrick Stewart was at Man United as well, and now he's here with us, and he's under scrutiny. So there's a lot of comparisons, mate, that you could really do to the 2 clubs. But in terms of the defence we have, I think a lot of it comes down to the recruitment. But what I will say is the recruitment now in Scotland is down to the standard of Scottish football, the league that we offer, the exposure that we can give players, not just our club, I mean Scotland as a whole. We're fell away in coefficiency, and that's not down to us, that's other clubs not being able to perform in Europe, but it's down to their standard of players. The standard of player coming in now is nowhere near where it was a few seasons ago, and that's down to the Scottish League, the format, the setup, everything that's involved in it, mate. So we suffer as a club, and Scottish football suffers as a league to show this. Southside.
I just put it down to football's a simple game, and see, as long as your players go out and show a work rate and a desire to get on the ball and make things happen within a sort of system and a structure, it's a pretty simple game. And a lot of the time for us, it's been, for me watching it, our work rate has been pretty poor. Now I know, I'll use what Russell said, we'll run faster and quicker and harder than our team rate. I get that, but we haven't been. But that's not just under his watch. It's been under other managers' watches, you know. Clermont had us playing a style of football that I thought worked to a point. We created chances, we scored goals, we relied on maybe individuals at times when we knocked it up to Czerny and it was getting 1-on-1 and let him go into a bit of magic. Everton have went through hundreds of managers and all, right? They've done it, Chelsea's done it. They've went through loads of managers and all. So it's nothing new probably to what's happening in England. They just seem to recycle managers all the time. One gets a sack and then suddenly a few weeks later you get a job. Hence the fact the Nottingham Forest manager's left. I think he got the job. I can't remember who it was, but I think he got a job somewhere there. Just West Ham, was it? I think
West Ham.
So, you know, he's just walked into a job at West Ham, and whether he has success there, I know he's been at Tottenham. Do you know what I mean? He done all right, but the fans wanted him out in the end, and he left. So I just think, but I thought in Sunday we passed the ball a bit quicker in the first half on one of the parts that was sticky. It's an artificial part, no great for players. We all know a lot of players don't like it. It suits Livingston because they train on it, they play on it all the time, they're used to it, and they play a brand of football that suits them. But as we're still trying to play a passing game, and I thought we passed it a bit better. Nothing brilliant, but I thought we done enough on Sunday that we created more chances to give players on the ball to go and try and take their man on and set stuff up. And as I said, I thought first half we could have been out of the park. We could have been 3-4 up by half time. And you've been talking about a different game. But I think you've got somebody just come in there on the call, Robert.
Aye, sorry, mate. Good evening, Josh. How you doing, pal?
How we doing? You alright?
Not bad, mate. What's your thoughts tonight, pal?
I'm just listening to the thoughts of the two guys there, and I do agree. Listen, you need to... Possession means nothing in football these days. Look at Nottingham Forest under Nuno Espirito Santos, and they punched above their weight. Went to Anfield and won 1-0. 82% possession Liverpool had at Anfield, and Forest won. And they punched above their weight all season last season under Nuno. I think their best average possession wise was 28 to 35%, and they just missed out on Champions League, and they stayed in the third place above the likes of Chelsea, Tottenham, Manchester United, all right, Big Ange, concentrated on the Europa League at the end and tried to win that, and he did. But possession means nothing. Look at them across the road in Saturday against Hibs. 84% possession, 35 shots in goal, nothing each. So possession's a load of rubbish to me. 3 points in the bag and get us up the table. That's what I want. I don't care if it's a 96-minute corner kick like Sunday. 3 points is all I want. Success for the team, and it builds confidence if the guys go out and get 3 points every week. That's what I've got to say to now, buddy.
You make a good point, mate. As Josh says, possession doesn't mean much. Possession doesn't win you games. It's not what you do with the ball in defensive, and we've known that stats show that we're playing our game in our defence. I mean, you touched on it on as well last night, and I touched on it on Sunday. The touches we had, the top 3 players were all 3 of our back 4. In fact, the top 6 were the back 4, Raskin and Barron. So possession doesn't win you games, but it's what you do with the ball. And when we have it, we're not creating enough until at least Sunday, when we did show a bit more.
Aye, listen, you can look at stats all the way you want, but good evening and welcome to the show, Josh. Thanks for phoning in. You spoke about entertainment earlier and possession. You know, I don't think football right now, even the best teams, all right, PSG can be pretty good to watch at times, but see, even the best teams, I'm so bored with a lot of the games, whether it be Champions League, whether it be English Premier, whether it be in France or Italy, Germany. You know, they're boring games now because of the manager's philosophies is all about possession and all about controlling the ball. If you've got the ball, then the opposition can't hurt you. You turn the clock back 30 years and you look at the English Premiership or you look at the Scottish Premier League, it was fast attacking football. A lot of it. They all had a structure within the team. They all done their roles within the team. You didn't ask your keeper to play out for the back. He was there to keep the ball at the net and you know, throw it out to your defenders. Defenders link up in the midfield and then let the creativity win you. Where's the Mavericks in the game now? They've all been killed. You don't see a Gascoigne. You don't see a 2 up front. You don't see wingers with chopping their boots, you know, taking on the defender one-on-ones. You don't see all that. Why? Because of the philosophy, the laptop managers that we've got in the game. And you can go way back to when Pep, he was a pioneer of this thing for Barcelona, taking it to Bayern Munich, and he's now taking it to Man City. So because he's successful, everybody's got to follow that blueprint. No. I mean, revert back to some of what your culture and your club was good at. I mean, Rangers were the famous Glasgow Rangers. My dad tells me about. We were famous across Europe because the front 5 that we had were so exciting and attacking, and it was all about attacking football in the 60s and the 70s, and that's where you made your mark in the game. So, as far as I'm concerned, I don't think football has changed for the better at all, and I think the finances across Europe has killed competition, not just European competition, but competition within domestic leagues, because it's the same teams that's winning everything. They're getting richer and the rest of the teams are getting poorer.
Josh, want to come back in there, buddy?
I totally agree. But look, see if you look down every league in Europe, there's only 2 teams or 3 teams at the most. One comes out the pack and shocks everybody that can win the league. Liverpool and Manchester City. Arsenal blunder it every year for some reason. Benfica and Porto, Real Madrid, Barcelona, Bayern Munich, Dortmund. So they mock the Scottish game. But if the English Premier League was that miles ahead of everybody else, how is it that they fall in line at the end of the season and it's Liverpool and Manchester City that win the league? It's overrated for me, the English Premier League, because you've got teams now that, like Nottingham Forest, who have got owners that are spending big, like take for talking sake last season, Alanga, Hudson-Odoi, Morgan Gibbs-White, all these guys that have stayed loyal, Wood, the striker, and all that kind of stuff under a good manager. And that manager would have still been there if he never came out and slated the owner, Marianakis. And for me, I agree with no, because the owner came right storming onto the pitch. You don't do that. No, just after a football match. He gave the guy pelters on the pitch after the game. And it was all through Iwoyu, their striker, who got injured, I think it was. So, like, getting back to my point, English Premier League isn't all that better than any other league in the world. As I said, if there was, there would be more a trend of more teams winning it, and more a fight for the title. But it's no. It's always like Manchester City and Liverpool, as I said. Do you know what I mean?
So you said Josh makes a good point. Again, he's mentioned a few leagues there, mate, and he's right in what he says. It's maybe either one or two teams per league that will win a title, and same can be said for your league as well. All right, in recent years, it's not been, and that's frustrating for us as supporters of Rangers that it's not been that way. But he's right in what he says. Over all the leagues, it is one or two. But is that just, again, down to the finances? Is it the modern game? Or is it just because, as I said, the English Premier League gets all the glitz, the glamour, and the other leagues are falling behind it? There's not that focus. And obviously, being north of the border, we are the small fish in the big pond as part of the UK setup.
Well, Leverkusen, they won the league, didn't they? In Germany. Was it last year?
Well, that's a one-off.
They won the
That's
league.
a one-off.
That's what I'm saying. Aye, they done well. They had a good structure manager. Probably had a good system. Probably didn't have all the best players in the league, but they formed as a team, and it's about playing as a team. So I agree. I mean, over the years, you would normally say Ajax used to win the league, or Feyenoord, whatever, and then sometimes somebody else comes in and wins it. And the Premiership's the same. It's overinflated prices for players. Let's not be kidded. The money they get paid down there, that's where the attraction and why a lot of players want to go to the Premiership. And some of them just go for the money. And over the years, we've seen players move. I mean, I remember that you're talking about when you're talking about a team that came out like Leicester went out and won the Premier League, right? I think Drinkwater was probably one of their best players, and then suddenly Chelsea came in from, I think it was Chelsea, Man City, Chelsea. I think it was Chelsea came in. Yeah. He went there, and then he hardly kicked a ball. You know, he hardly got a game. He played for a wee bit, and then he was more or less bombed out till he got a move again. But you got the players just go for the money and maybe hope at the time he was going to get a game. But for me, they're just all overpaid. Josh has been all right, and the attraction is the Premier League. Allbear will tell you they've destroyed the football, he says, because that's where everybody wants to go, and that's where all the money is. But for us, when we're talking about us, we need to compete and have players willing to run. It's a simple game of football. I don't think Russell Martin, the way he says he's got a style, see if we cut out playing a wee bit overly for the back, and we could make more direct, just get a couple of passes across the back and then get it fed out to your winger or your midfielder to get it onto your winger and me. Because there's plenty of times in the last few weeks we've had our wingers one-on-one. Sometimes they've went at them, sometimes they've slowed down to get to them, and then they get doubled up on. And I just think Sunday, I thought, although it wasn't great on that surface, I thought we moved the ball a bit better. And I'm not saying I support him and I should stay and all that. I'm just saying on the performance, moving the ball about, we didn't move it about too much about the back, although they had touches, but we sort of moved it out and got it up the park. And Gassman was free loads of times on the left-hand side. But I think if we created the chances or took the chances that we created in the first half, we'd have been out of sight, Josh. And I think on that year I said, well, it's not great, but it's one of the better first half performances I've seen for a while.
And you come, Josh?
I think we done all right on Sunday in parts. I think we done okay. Gassman and that kind of stuff. I think we can only improve. We need to understand if King Billy and his White Horse, who we all love as well, was manager of Rangers and he was in this position, you're going to tell me the Union Bears and all his supporters would they want him sacked? We would, because it's all about success. It's all about the success. It's all about getting the football team up and winning the league. Our club has been mismanaged ever since Walter Smith in 2011. That's 15 years ago. All these managers. We've had 12 managers, and that's including Russell Martin now. It's been mismanaged, and the board has been dysfunctional and everything. And as Allbear says, I heard him saying, as I said, you need to have a structure and a foundation. You can't build a house without it. Because if you put bricks without a foundation and a structure, it's going to fall down. going to be like the house that Jack built and forgot to finish. Do you know what I mean? It's simplicity things like that you need to build on success. And as I said before, I was happy with the performance, and I'm no one for getting anybody the sack or shouting my voice and stuff. But I think the guy has had one of his better games as manager, Russell Martin. You could see the fear in his face. On Sunday when the cameras went on his face, and he showed he was like all nervous and all that kind of stuff. Because I really do think he wants to do well for our club, but it's just the berating, the support and all that kind of stuff. But as I said, if it was any other manager, they would want them to get the sack. You need to understand, Sir Alex Ferguson was with Manchester United, and he was one game away from getting the sack, and that was a cup game against Nottingham Forest. And he eventually won it. I think it was the odd goal in injury time or something, and that saved his bacon. So these things take time. These things do take time, and it's a brand new team. Shermity and Miorski up front, because we've got ready Egerman in that, and Dessers, who I liked, 53 goals and 114 appearances. And if he was here then he would be scoring more goals than Shermity and Miorski put together. Because the guy's stats, although he got berated, the guy's stats was really good, and he can put the ball in the back of the net. But Shermity, I've no confidence in him. I think he was overpriced, and we went in for him. I think that must have been a panic buy in the transfer deadline day, to try and back up Miorski, because we get ready Egerman and Dessers. What do you think about that, guys?
That's a good point you've made, mate. We'll come back to it. We will come back to it, mate. But we've been joined by Jim. Evening, Jim.
Good evening, lads.
How you doing tonight, mate? What's your thoughts?
Evening.
Evening, boys. My thoughts is, I thought we should have been 3 up easy in the first half. And the game should have been tied up. It was unlucky with Bentley, or the game's finished then. They did come into it in the second half, but I like to fight back. They played good stuff. They were wiring in. They were trying to win the game, and I was happy with that. And they got the points. That was the most important thing. I didn't like the singing at the end there right enough, but I know everybody's no lover of the guy, but I heard Josh here saying about Fergie, which is true. You know what I mean? So my point is, what if a guy goes on and wins a League Cup here? What if he wins a League Cup? You know what I mean? He's in the semi. If we beat them, we'll win it. That's just my opinion. Another thing that made me sick, you know, when he was coming after the bus, the wee boys there, maybe 9, 10-year-old, shouting and swearing. I says, that's embarrassing. They're embarrassing the club. Why don't they just stay quiet and let the results work out? And if the results don't go their way, they'll get rid of them. Why don't they just wait in that car and get out and embarrassing and letting everybody laugh at Rangers? It's hard for me. I don't like it. You know, I don't know what you boys think.
Just for your call, Jim. You make some good points again, mate. I'll take it round the boys in a second. If you're asking if he wins the League Cup, do I think that would be enough to turn over the fans? No, I don't, mate, if I'm being honest. Personally, there'll be supporters out there whose minds have been made up since day one. Others have joined that that view that he's not going to work out, it's not a good fit, that we don't see success under Russell Martin. It'll take a hell of a lot to turn that around. You're probably looking at him getting a treble, mate, and even then, people wouldn't still have confidence because it would take an almighty turnaround. I don't think it would just be the League Cup that would satisfy the support. the reaction that he gets coming off the bus, mate, again, fans will voice their displeasure. I've said it many times in the show. They've got the right to voice their displeasure. Some will boo, some will chant, some won't turn up. But it's a younger generation that you look at. Some of the boys that go to the games have never seen success at our club other than a domestic trophy. They've not seen a league title win. They've not had the joys of what we've had over the years. The likes of Helicopter Sunday, etc. Manchester, 2008. That excitement, that buzz. They've seen nothing of that, and that's what's missing for them. But I'll take your points to AK, then Southside.
Hi, good evening, Jim. Thanks for phoning in. Listen, I think Rob's right there. I think Russell Martin could win a treble this year, win a Champions League next year, win the World Cup the next year, and it still wouldn't be good enough for section of support. They just don't want him at the club. They're not accepting him. They'll never accept him, and they just want to try and force the hand of the owners to get rid of him. That's their entitlement, as Rob said. But it's no the way I personally I would support the club. But I can't get that mindset into me that you hate the manager that much that supporters are actually wanting the team to get beat just to speed up the process to get rid of the manager. Last night after the show, I like to follow other podcasts and that, and I looked at the four lads last night, Stevie Clifford and Davy Heard and the boy Kenny speak about it as well, and Davy being the oldest one out of them, similar ages with yourself, Southside, he was just aghast about the reaction of Rangers support. He says, how can you not just celebrate a win and then have their protest songs and what have you? Maybe just wait a couple of minutes. Andy Halliday said it was 27 seconds that the pipes up. I don't get that. Celebrate a late Rangers winner. As you say, the results will get them eventually. New owners, that this is what happens in football. Managers come and go. They're only custodians of the club. So is the owners. So is the players. The main constant is the support. But when the support turn against you, it's you're dead man walking. So, but we'll just need to see how we go as the season goes. But as far as the win goes on Sunday there, we'll take it, Jim, and we'll go into the next game. But this game by game contract that he's on now is no good for him, no good for us, and no good for us going forward.
Southside.
I said earlier, Jim, I don't know if you heard, I said if Tav scores the penalty, Majovski takes his chance, we'd have been out of sight by half time and there wouldn't have been an issue. My issue was in the second half, Jim, the players didn't, for me, were miles off it. They came out and they went through the motions. Livy came out and were having a go, and we weren't really at the races, and I was looking at the players and he was just about to make changes. Because I looked across from where I was standing and he was starting to make changes, and then Livy scored the goal because we're not going and pressing the ball when they're getting a throw in, and they've done that a couple of times. They've done it for corners as well, that sort of wee move to fire the ball into your box, make the angle, and I thought our players were deplorable up until then, Jim, for the way their attitude was at the start of the second half. And then obviously he starts changing it, and then I could hear people saying, he's not got a clue, he's just flinging players on. Listen, the players that were on before he started taking them off, some of them were lacking effort and desire to get into the game in the second half. So I was quite happy he was making changes, and I don't care how we get the goal. As long as we were going to score that second goal and get the win, for me was all that mattered. So I was happy, and I dare say the vast majority of Bears leaving the stadium should be happy, because we get a victory. It's about winning as a football club. But I get it, the chants and all that, Jim. Listen, it is what it is. It's modern society. There's internet out there now. It gets battered every day. Everybody's got an opinion. Whereas back then, going back even 30 odd years ago, Jim, in football and that, 40 years ago, whatever, it was, you went home if you get beat, you went home, you went to the pub, you spoke about it and that, and then it'd be a paper would tell you the next day, and there wasn't all this internet, maybe, and all that, and it'd be constant, people were all talking about it, everybody's invested in it. It ruins your weekend, as you know, when we get beat. But now, like you say, people are just reading it online. There's a lot of podcasts out there and stuff. We do a platform as a phone-in show. But it's just the modern way, Jim. A lot of people will no matter. If we win the League Cup I would expect we should all be happy and delighted, but there'll still be people wanting them out the door. End of the day, I want my club, Rangers Football Club, to win every week if possible, as many games as possible. If that keeps him in a job, then so be it. And when it comes to time we've got to change the manager, then we'll change him. So, there will be protests still going forward, Jim. I think that's where it will be. I think the message was probably for the support was, okay, we've scored a goal, we're winning 2-1, but we want you still to go. And I think that's probably what it was coming across for the support. But listen, at the end of the day, we've got a game on Thursday night in Europe where we've got to try and get a win or come back with a draw at the worst. And then we've got to win our next league game. I don't think the owners will change it, if at all, at the moment. That's just my own personal opinion. But if they do, and they've got somebody in mind, and whether we get the right results or we don't get the right results for the next two games, if they pull the plug on the manager during this break where they had the chance before when the support were paying for it and they chose not to in the last international window. So this is the second one coming up, and if they don't pull the plug on them for this one, then I think you can safely say that they're going to keep him in place and it'll be down to him to get the results.
No, definitely. I think he needs better players. You know, honestly, he does. There is a few good players there, but he needs more to boost the side up a bit. You know, and I know all the boys that, I don't know, I can't remember what night it was, but they were all talking about passing the ball out for the back, and it's no great. You watch 99.9% of games for every league, and they're all doing it. So the keeper puts it down, gives it to one of the centre halves, and then they've got players on top of them right away. Listen to John Terry, and he says we used to, keepers puts the ball down for a bye kick, with two centre halves, one at each side there. He says, but there are three players on the edge of the box ready to run on top of you. He says, so we used to say to the keeper, here, bloater it right up to Big Drogba. You know what I mean? So maybe they've got to do that. Don't knock it to the side all the time. Knock some long. Switch it up.
Josh, do you want to come in quickly, mates, before we go to the tune?
If he get back to Jim's point, if he wins the cup, if he wins the League Cup, then I've got a message for the support. He'll not get sacked because that's success, isn't it? That's one part of the treble. So I want him to win every game. I don't want him to lose because I want my team to win. But this wanting him to lose and lose his job is just it's not very good for the club.
Oh, you're bang on, Josh.
If they're wanting him to lose, just the players to lose the match, just so that we get rid of Russell Martin, they're not true supporters for me.
Do you know what
it's dysfunctional?
But you know what you are, Josh? You're a Rangers man. You're a Rangers supporter. I've never in my life would I ever want Rangers to lose anything.
That's a dysfunctional way of acting. It's a dysfunctional way of thinking, really.
We should all be thinking like that, but everyone should be thinking like that.
But the problem is, Jim, we've got young boys who are 14, 15, 16, who are running the Union Bears, who are banging the drums, that have got the voice, that Southside says that they've never, ever seen success at the club. But somebody should just educate them and just say to them, look, you need to be a wee bit more blasé and give a wee bit of respect and stop talking about who you want in when we've already got Russell Martin as manager, because it's a bit disrespectful to the manager that is in right now. Because I just don't get people's thinking, Jim. Really, I just don't understand it. For me, I think we will. I think we've got a good chance of winning the League Cup, because all we have today is beat a very, very poor Celtic team, and they are poor across the road. They are poor. Just that they know how to grind out results.
We'll come back to
I'll
that,
let you-
Josh. You make a good point, mate, of what's ahead next, and obviously we're in a cup semi-final. We'll touch on that as we get into the second part of the show. But if you don't mind, if you can all get yourselves on mute, because we're going to have a tune.
Well, I took a trip to Eyebrows, my favourite team for to cheer, where they were playing the Glasgow Celtic on the Thursday of the year. Now the ground was filled to capacity as the teams come out to play. The animals sang the soldier's song, and the people sang Dolly Gray. Now half-time it came and went, and the Glasgow Celtic were in the lead. Finian Tully was rounding everywhere, shaking his rosary beads, while the green flags, they were flying high. Celtic hearts were full of pride. The second half, sure, it started, and the Rangers, they turned the tide. Won't you play up the Glasgow Rangers? Oh, play up the boys in blue. Oh, play up the Glasgow Rangers. We're here to cheer for you. Now the ball goes out to Walker, and from 30 yards he did score. Sure you couldn't hear your ears at Ibrox Park for the sash my father wore. Oh, play up the Glasgow Rangers. Sammy Cox is on the ball. He slips it through to Willie Woodbarn, then on through to Ian McCall. McCall to Billy Simpson. Oh, here come the boys in blue. Well, Simpson beats the Celtic centre half, and in goes number 2. Now the Rangers fans are roaring. Jardie Young, he takes a free onto the head of William Simpson, and then goes number 3. Well, it's 3-1 for the Rangers. That was the final score. A happy new year from Ibrox Park, for Rangers beat the Celtic once more. Yes, a happy new year from Ibrox Park, for Rangers beat the Celtic once more. Yes, a happy new year from Ibrox Park, for Rangers beat the Fenians once more.
Why don't you give us a call on 0141 356 1972? It's your show, it's your platform. Let's hear from you.
Just for that Foxwell back, gents.
Yep.
Aye.
Yeah, yeah.
Welcome back. Josh, you make a good point, mate. Obviously, we've got a cup semi-final. I know it's a few games away yet. There's a lot of football to be played before we get it, but it is a big moment, a big game to look forward to down the line, where we can go and get a performance. We've shown already that, yes, it was a poor Old Firm game overall, 0-0, but we looked a lot more structured. But to be devil's advocate, mate, obviously that's a poor Celtic side that we couldn't beat, but they'll be thinking the same thing as well. To us, which should make a great atmosphere and a great tide for an Old Firm semi-final and try and get into that final, mate. Josh,
They're in turmoil, is the same as us, but it's just the difference between us and them. They know how to grind out results, don't they? We're in transition and we've got a new squad, but there's no any great shakes. There's no striker. They've no replaced any of their top players. They're playing with the basic Tierney can't play every game and Jota's out and all that kind of stuff. We've got more stability if he plays the right squad. If he plays the right team, the right midfield, and the two up front, we've got a chance of beating them. We've done it before. We get cheated out of the penalty that we should have got and beat them, and we never got it for some strange reason. So we've done it before. How can we not do it again? And the last 4, 5, 6 matches against them, home and away, we've got the better of them. So statistically, percentage-wise, if you're going back to percentage-wise and statistics, we would be the favourites to beat them because we've had the better of them over the last few games, apart from the one there at Ibrox.
You mentioned there, mate, if we put out the right team, I'll go in the panel and ask you boys, at the present stage, what is the right team? Does Russell Martin know? Do we know? And I'll put AK on the spot first. AK?
Oh, get lost. I have absolutely no idea what the right team is to play based on what we're watching now. There's too many inconsistent performances throughout the whole team. I would say you probably start with Butland, obviously. Tavernier deserves his place in the team. Raskin and Gassimer. And then after that, I'm struggling. No, I mean, Miovski is probably the one most suited for the Scottish League. But he's not exactly throwing himself out there for goals and, causing all. But you could blame the service that he's not getting because Mikey Moore's been poor. Antman's not been particularly great. Diamondi's been poor. There's poor performances all around the park, and this is why we're in the position of what we are now. They're no filling the jersey. They're no, gaining us basically the value for money, but we paid off of certain players. When you're putting out an output of 8 to 10 million, Chermity, I think he really needs to change his structure to get the two on the park and see if it makes a difference, because the build and the stature of Chermity with Miovski running off him, surely that's going to cause defences more problems than what they're gaining already. You put out Antman there and tell him to play as a wide winger, because that's the way he started that very first game. He was right out to the touchline, and that's where we got our width for. But with this going forward, his structure and his philosophy and his tactics, his formation is causing us all sorts of problems. So be honest with your players, Russell Martin. If you want to last a wee bit longer than we think you should do, at least try and adapt to the players that you've got, and then maybe we can start to go, right, okay, I can see what he's trying to do now. Because this high line defence and all that now, Rob, it's causing us all sorts of problems. We're not having enough shots on goals and we're not scoring enough goals. So things need to change drastically.
Southside, could you pick a right team at this moment in time? I'll be honest, I'm with AK. I couldn't. And I think it comes down to the style of play. I think if we need to get the best out of players, we actually need to look at the style first and foremost to get the right team and get the right players in their favoured positions to be a threat. Southside.
Aye. Listen, I think in sort of when we brought players in, I think from the management's point of view, would have been the right back, forgetting just about how he's played and how he settled and how he get moved about. I think when he came in, I think he thought, right, Tav will play maybe some games because he can't play all the games, but he'll be my right back. Turned out he couldn't play there, but he would have been that. Giga came in. I don't know what his thoughts on. He is quite young, so he might have been thinking, well, Shooter will need to be my right-hand side. I'll rely on him, and it might be him. So I think Shooter at the moment probably takes the right-hand side of the defence. Left-hand side is eventually it's been Cornelius, but both Fernandez. Now it might be Fernandez might be a better fit, but we've not seen much of him. So, and he's been out the picture, and we paid $3.5 million. So at the moment he's out the picture. So it turns out that Cornelius, being of the age he is, playing for Canada, looks like he'll probably be the fit for him. So, and obviously the left back that could be injured actually for Thursday, we don't know yet. But he's obviously had to come in because we don't know behind the scenes whether Yefty was a surprise move that somebody came in from on the left or whether that was always on the cards as well. We don't know, and maybe we never had enough time to fill the hangman, so we brought the boy in. But on the understanding that if Giga plays and you move Suter or whatever, Cornelius could go out and play left back, apparently. So that we went for the boy Mendes, I can't remember, the boy at Real Betis, when that deal fell through because he failed a medical. So I think at the moment the defence is roughly what you're seeing now. Apart from Aarons, I think would have been that. Rothwell would have been his number 6, I think, as he thought, or he'd been his midfield. And also, we are saying it's either Raskin or Raskin, when his own form, is probably our best midfielder that we've seen. Diamande is another one that most people would say should be in the team, but maybe the balance would be better if Lyle Cameron, when comes back fit, maybe gets a place in the team. Asgard obviously was expecting to come in and play in a position where he would showcase his skills, and we bought 2 wingers to play out there and showcase their skills. Whether they're at the right, probably Ant-Man's at the right age. Maybe Gasman still, he's got plenty of potential. He was obviously, if he'd been sold to another English team down there, he'd probably cost a lot more money. Or if he hadn't been in difficulties, we were talking about, he'd have been £20 million plus player. So we've got to give the 2 wingers time to settle in. I think they're the 2 strongest. If they can get on for them, I think they are the 2 strongest. I think the midfield balance isn't still right. Raskin didn't have a great game on Sunday, but he done all right. So I think there's still an issue in the midfield. We need to get the balance right, and whether that even includes Bajrami to come in the league games because he's not in the European squad, or a Lyle Cameron. One of them to maybe fit the midfield, or move to if you move Asgard out. Somebody's got to come in and get the blend right. Aye.
Here's a thought, would you take Diamande out the midfield and play Barron with Raskin? Would that not be a good fit? Because sometimes the 2 of them complement.
You might be right. It might work, but I don't think it would work. But I don't see it. Barron's all right. He can do all right in certain games, or maybe, but I don't think he's the one that I would probably start. I think if you play Raskin in the 6, and he's on his game, then and then it's who you play in front. We all expect it to be a Rothwell, we all expect it to be a Diamande or an Asgard. The fact that we've signed him, we've brought him in, we need to give him a chance. But it could be that Lyle Cameron could be the one that might be the fit. It could be Connor Barron, as you say. I'm only saying what I think, Josh. But it could be one of them that just makes a difference to the midfield. What we've got to do is just move the ball quicker. Players need to be at it. And they were at it for probably most of the first half, but they weren't at it for the first 30 minutes of the second half. That was a fact, and that's why the manager had to fling players on and make changes, which did spark a bit of a reaction. At the end of the day, we got a reaction, we get a goal and we win. And that's the most important thing, mate, that we win.
Absolutely. That's all we're wanting is the team to be successful, and that's why I added wee Barron in, because he was the first choice in that midfield last season for most of the campaign, and he disappeared kind of. But look, the cup semi-final is probably going to be the defining moment of Russell Martin's tenure, and if he beats that mob who are there at Hampden in the semi-finals in about 4 weeks on Sunday, then I think he's a stick on for after Christmas and another transfer window in January, because whoever wins out of us in name is the winners of the League Cup. No disrespect to Motherwell and St Mirren. It's a bigger pitch, which will be advantageous to us and whoever comes out of the semi-final. But I respect your opinion, Southside.
Josh, Jim, can I just ask, see when he's on the speaking, if I can just ask you just to press mute? We're just getting some feedback from somebody, just so the guys can answer your points and questions, mate, and you can come back in. Just take yourself on mute when I give you a shout. Josh, you're right, mate. I mean, it is a big game, but we've got 6 games beforehand. I think it would be hard to sit and say that could be a defining moment, because we don't know what the next game's going to bring. And that next game obviously becomes Thursday night, which we'll touch on as we get closer to the end of the show. But I don't know if you saw today that John Souttar and Liam Kelly were called up to the Scotland squad. I know a lot of fans out there won't be interested in the national team, and the players would want to be fit for Rangers and playing for Rangers. But what I looked at, I'll bring AK in. AK, I looked at it and I saw, again, what my point was at the start of the show, the state of Scottish football. We've not got many players in our league in the national team. And if we've got 2 guys getting called up to the squad and one is sitting on the bench each week, it just shows you the state that Scottish football's in, never mind our club alone at times.
It's a sad indictment for the rest of the goalkeepers in the Scottish League, to be honest with you. And I think Craig Gordon actually got called up as well, a guy that's in his 40s now. That's even worse. But what's happening with Scottish football? But the quality's not there. You know, Liam Kelly's hardly getting a game for us, but because he's at Rangers, Steve Clarke, but is it just to be political then, just to kind of appease the Rangers support that he's keeping somebody in the squad that probably doesn't merit it? Because if you're an aspiring keeper in one of the other clubs that are doing well, you're Scottish and you're not getting a look in because a guy's at a bigger club than you, that doesn't augur well for me. Scottish football, our best players are all abroad now, aren't they? They're all out with the Scottish League, most of them anyway. So it is what it is, but it doesn't reflect well in the standard of the Scottish League that we can't keep any of them here. As soon as they get any sort of credibility that they're a decent player, they're young Bailey Rice away to Italy as well, and good luck to the guys. I mean, they go there and they've seen Lewis Ferguson and Aaron Hickey and that, Scott McTominay go out there, and Billy Gilmer as well, and be successful. So good luck to them. I hope that they have a good career, and I hope it reflects well for the national team. But for us as a nation, 1998, I think it was, Rob, the last time that Scotland qualified for a World Cup. I was brought up in a time spoilt, really. 70s, 80s, 90s, where we were basically qualifying for the major tournaments every other year. And when you seen the level of players that we had to choose for, predominantly in the Scottish League, the level of players we had was night and day for what we're choosing for now. We've got a decent midfield. We don't have a good defence. Obviously, our keepers are a question mark, and we don't have strikers that can score. It's a wee bit like the Rangers team now.
No, you're right, mate. A lot of the players do play abroad now, or down in England. I think it's out of a 23-man squad, there's 7 players that play in the Scottish League. 2 are obviously from our club, Liam Kelly and John Souttar. Across the city, they've got 2 in as well. Anthony Ralston and Kieran Tierney. One just back from injury, and one can't finish a 90-minute game. So that's what you're picking your national team on. Jim, what's your take on the national team and the selection? And we always say that we need more homegrown players in our clubs at club level, but that impacts obviously the national side. That if we're not producing them at academies or in our own leagues, then what does that say for the future of the nation's football?
For me, I'm not interested in Scotland. That's just my opinion. Glasgow Rangers in England, Union Jack. I'm not interested. Another thing I'd like to say, just when Josh was on earlier there, I think the Union Bears are a different class. I wouldn't say a bad word about them. I know they're maybe young guys and all that, but it's a good job we've got them. The tifos and all that of the day, which are no cheap, excellent, different class. So, just like you say that, just before I go into Scotland, but honestly, I'm not interested in Scotland. See, once I heard them booing Rangers players, that's enough for me, finished. I'm not interested in Scotland. I'd rather shoot England on.
It's a fair point, mate, and as I said, there'll be many fans that are like yourselves that don't take an interest in the national team. But if you look at it in our club, if you pull it back to Rangers, we don't have a lot of Scottish players within our club setup either. As AK said, it's a thing of the past where we would have a whole team of Scottish players, whereas now it's getting maybe 2 or 3.
And then, by the way, the manager today, what he said about Rangers as well, that's enough for me. That's when he was at Kilmarnock. You know, I'm not interested in anything to do with him. You know, and another thing about they're a poor team and all that, but they've got referees, linesmen, VAR, all up their cuff. The mob for our side, you know, so that's another thing that we've to deal with as well, which is no easy. But hopefully we get there. I know, I just wish the boys wouldn't sing and shout and ball. Let the results, if he doesn't get the results, then they'll get rid of him. Fair enough, and he goes. And maybe keep the singing down a wee bit, because I don't think it's doing our players any good, boys. I don't. But I love being on the show, boys. It's nice to speak to you all. And I'll go and maybe let somebody else in, or let's continue. But thanks for taking my call, and take care, everyone.
Pleasure for having you, Jim, mate. Cheers for phoning. Always welcome, mate. Made some great points. And take care. Look after yourself.
Magic. See you later, boys. Cheers.
Cheers, Jim.
Cheers, Jim.
Bye.
Southside, just touched on what Jim said there, obviously, the singing, the chants, being there yourself, obviously, on Sunday most recently, and obviously the European game against Genk. Do you feel that there is a negativity on the players, that there's a pressure that they can hear the sounds coming from the support, they know the frustrations? Do you see that on the pitch, that it's keeping into their play and their performances?
It certainly will impact. Even getting the noise levels were against them outside the stadium before the Hibs game, when they were earshot of the dressing room. But that's what it is. And a lot of the players that we've got, and like Mikey Moore, he's a young boy. He's wanting to come in and play. Even when we play Finlay Curtis, another young boy through the academy. It'll be hard for them to try and go on. They will be nervous. And Mikey Moore's come up here, although he's got a decent bit of form in him before he came up here and that, and he's grown as a player, and even Finlay. But it's hard for him to come in. You usually bring these players on the park and introduce them when the team's functioning and playing well, and they can come on and do a cameo role or get 25 minutes, and hopefully they go out and do something and excite the crowd. Whereas their starting games, not so much Finlay lately. And the pressure's on them to go out and perform, and the crowd are certainly on them. Ibrox, even in the European game against Kent, wasn't very noisy compared to loads of Thursday nights at Ibrox, as we've all spoke about on here. People were turning up, and for whatever reason, the atmosphere isn't getting created. There was a wee bit on Sunday at the end of the game. Ibrox was getting sang for the support right at the end of the game and just before it was finishing. So I got that element here, which was good to hear. But we go and we try and back the team, but the team's got to give us something to cheer and sing along with as well. At the end of the day, we've got to go. We're paying customers. We're spending a lot of money. The young team and everybody else that goes. If you travel home and away and abroad, it costs you a fair bit of money, and you want to go. And first and foremost, it's always to see a win. And I don't care how we get it, as long as we get a win. But at the end of the day, you want to see a bit of excitement in the game and create chances and score some goals. And at the end of the day, Russell Martin, it's had a bad start. People didn't want him in the first place. Things haven't helped with the results. It's a results-driven business, and at the moment, he's getting booed as he comes in the stadium. He's getting booed going out the stadium. He's not coming onto the park anywhere after the game. He's just going up the tunnel. It's got to that point at the moment, and that's the way it is. I don't see it changing, to be honest. And if supporters of this generation do now want to shout and call for his head because they're sick of everything else, and he's just a cog in the wheel for the rest of the managers that have went, and the support's been vocal for over a number of managers, from Michael Beale onwards after Gerrard. So, and we've not had the right success with bringing in the next manager as we hoped. We've won a cup here or there. We got the league for Gerrard, but apart from that, we've won a Scottish Cup and a League Cup with two different other managers. And now we're calling for his head when there's a chance that we could be going to a League Cup final. And at the end of the day, I'd like to think if we can get to the final, we've not managed to show form against the two teams that we could be playing if we get by that mob for across the city. But if you get to a League Cup final, you'd like to think at Hampden, we should hopefully get the job done. And that would be at least a ticket in a box. But I still don't see it weighing for the rest of the support. I think they'll still want him out, Robert, regardless as we going. But it's about results, mate, and hopefully we'll get a decent result on Thursday. If we can't get the win, we get a draw, and as long as we go to Falkirk next Sunday when I get along there, we'll pick up 3 points, and then we go into the winter break, and then after it it'll be a short turnaround, and we'll have a couple of games in the semi-final. And at the end of the day, mate, we all want the best for the football club, so I don't care how long he's there. If we keep winning and he's still a manager, then fine. Protests will still go on, but at the end of the day, we need to keep winning games of football, mate, because that's what we all want.
AK Southside, right? It's consistency. Obviously, we got the win against Hibs in the quarter final. We thought that would give us a boost and a lift going into the European game, and then we went back to square one. It is now about keeping that consistency of getting a win and taking that into the next game and building on a foundation to try and establish some form of run to maybe get that confidence back, not with the fans as well, but also the players.
Hi, I'm kind of lost for words now, Rob, just with the reaction of the Rangers support. I've never seen this, mate. 40 years going to Ibrox, never seen this, the apathy and the hatred that's getting spilled towards our manager. I mean, even when with Pedro Caixinha as our manager, there was a period there just before he lost his job where I think we were in the semi-final. It was either the League Cup or the Scottish Cup, where we played Celtic and they outplayed us at Hampden. I think it was 2 or 3-0. And then we played them at Ibrox maybe the following week, and they thumped us 5-1. Our game after that, Southside, you've probably been there, was Partick Thistle away, where we managed to score similar to what we did on Sunday, an injury time winner, and the support spilled onto the park, delirious about the fact that we'd actually won, late on in the game. But there still wasn't the vitriol coming towards Caixinha as what Russell Martin's had to experience this year. I mean, what did the Rangers support want? I know they want him out, but that wasn't our choice to make. They wanted new managers, they wanted new players, a turnover of the players for what we had the previous years. We managed to get 14 in, 18 out, which is probably one of the biggest turnover of players that we've had in the one transfer window. We've got new owners, we've got a new structure, but because Patrick Stewart's made enemies with the UB and that, calling him out a couple of times were needless, right? Well, they've got it in for him, and because he had a say in the actual process of picking Russell Martin and Kevin Thelwell, well, what was their pedigrees to get the jobs in the first place? Well, that's where the due diligence comes for the owners then. Why were they guys in situ in the first place? I mean, going back to the start of the show, Rob, Patrick Stewart was at Man United for a long period of time, but Man United was a failing club then, and it's why are we putting that guy in charge to kind of build and grow our club when he's already been a failure and a proven failure at Man United? Kevin Thelwell was in charge of the recruitment at Everton when they're fighting relegation most years. What tell the owners to say that they two were the right guys and then they pick Russell Martin? And I can understand the anger and frustration of the Rangers supporter where we are. It's obviously that it's no the right guys that's been picked in charge. But you know what? We don't have a say in the things now because we basically chased Douglas Park, Gilligan and Bennett out the club, force up the sales so the 49ers enterprise and Andrew Kavanagh could own 51%. Well, he spent his consultant spent near enough £100 million to call the shots. So that I don't know whether he's just digging his heels in even more because of the mob mentality that's been running the club for the best part of the last 10, 12 years has caused a lot of, the friction to spill onto the park, and that's the reason why we're not being a success. I don't know you, but you're coming up against a dominant machine in Celtic because we've been bankrupt. You bankrupt them, let's see how successful they are. So it's just been a decade of doom, mate. I don't know the answer, but I'm sick of fighting battles, to be honest with you, because my head is getting screwed just the same as every other supporter. We want success, but it doesn't matter, or it doesn't seem to matter who we bring into the club. They're never good enough for the Rangers support.
Josh, Aki makes a point about we've had managers in the past who have come under criticism and scrutiny, and some more than others, and their performances have merited that. But from the outset, this looked like there was a lot of supporters out there that just didn't want Martin at all. What do you think is the difference between Martin now and the likes of Beale, Clement, Kishinya? Can you put, in your opinion, can you pick anything out that is a major difference of why it's the state it is and why there's so much anger compared to previous managers who have maybe had poor runs and poor performances?
Just like the last fella that spoke. This Russell Martin just seems to be getting vile comments, dysfunctional bitterness. It's as if he was like a Celtic supporter in disguise, mimicking that he wants Rangers to be successful, but he's really a Catholic, and they something like that, something mad like that. I mean, look, the only way these are billionaires, and there's no you don't become billionaire owners of one of the biggest franchises of the 49ers in American football for being a failure. These guys know what they're doing, and they will not adhere to the support, because if they did, Russell Martin would boot the new. That's the bottom line. But I don't know. I can't put my finger on it. Clement, I liked Clement because he was getting there slowly a wee bit, but I felt sorry for him because we never had any stability when he was here. Clement, Philippe Clement, as the guy says, Coutinho and all that. There was none of this hatred and bitterness and all that kind of stuff when they all became manager. I mean, if they want them out, then the team has to lose, and I'm sorry, I disagree with that. And if it's a Union Bears and all that kind of stuff, I'm a Rangers supporter. I go to Ibrox and I go to some away games, and not over my dead body do I want Rangers Football Club and the team in the park to lose just to get rid of a manager. I want success, and if Russell Martin gets a result I want Russell Martin to get a result in Europe in Thursday, and I want us to beat Falkirk, because I think we will beat Falkirk and get 3 points, and then progress, and whether they want them out or no, I'm not really interested. I'm only interested in the footballing side, going to support, putting the Rangers tap on, but like Southside and all the rest of the supporters that don't voice an opinion and want to see the team being successful. None of this rubbish. We want Russell Martin out. Well, Russell Martin has to. The team has to lose and fail then. So if you're wanting Russell Martin out, you're wanting the team to fail. So in my eyes, you're not a Rangers supporter then. You're not wanting success for the club. You're wanting you're wanting the football club to be a failure, only to get the manager removed. I hope Russell Martin weathered the support, and it'll never be the same. He'll always have the hatred, but I want Russell Martin to be a success because I'm a Rangers supporter and I want success. We've had so many years of not having success, and I hope it progresses the team from now, Robert, before the tune you says we'll come back to it, but he's got 6 games. I hope we progress, not regress, progress up to then, and he finds a good quality team to put in the park, a big park, and we beat Celtic, and it's a foregone conclusion at Hampden. That's how I think it is. Motherwell and St Mirren, which is a bigger pitch. And we've got the players to adapt. They'll tire because we'll have made a possession at Hampden, which is a bigger pitch, back and forth, side to side, and open the gaps and all that kind of stuff. So to answer a question, I don't know what there is. I can't speak for the support, but as a 38 years Rangers supporter, I don't want Russell Martin to lose any more games. I want Rangers Football Club, Tavernier, Butland, Miovski, Schmidt, Raskin, Barron, every player in that pitch that plays for Rangers to get 3 points. And if that entails Russell Martin who stay in the job the whole season, that's good enough for me, because then my club will be successful. Robert.
Cheers, mate. You've made some good points again there, mate. Obviously, this show's all about opinions, and we all see it differently. And as I said, mate, you've made some good points here, good opinions. If you can, though, just be mindful, mate. Bringing religion into it, mate. If you can, just try and avoid that. Again, to use the slogan that the club used, everyone, anyone, mate. Just for, if you can, try and keep religion out of it, mate, because we do have listeners from all over, pal. All right.
No worries.
Cheers, buddy. I think we've been joined by Davey, who's been waiting patiently in the wings. Evening, David.
Good evening. How you getting on, guys? No, how's my pals all there? No, it's not all there, mate. It's just siding big isn't it? Brilliant, right?
It is. Good evening, David.
Yes,
How you doing, Alden?
You doing, Alden? But you can't play golf.
Pump again.
Sorry, that's just a wee personal. Don't get my mate there, he's top man. No, it's always a pleasure listening to you too, because you analyse the game as you see it. It's getting to a point where it's getting out of control. The hysteria has gone balmy. You know, we need to calm down. Okay, we can see the problems, but shouting and bawling at him, it's not going to help it. And I get where they're coming to. There's a time and a place to do it. You do it before the game, outside, and you do it after the game. I just think that's not helping the players in any way. And I was amazed that they came out of there with a win, because it showed you that the players are turning a wee deaf ear to that and want to play. So we need to get out and behind. I know it's difficult, chaps. I know that. I know what everybody's saying. I agree with him. Martin's no my cup of tea either. But getting and talking to him like that, I don't think it's going to help us any. And I know we've spoken about this quite a few times. That last chap that was on was spot on, apart from the sort of religious thing, but that's, we all make mistakes. I get yellow cards every time I come on, but they get the Sunday after VAR. But, no, I just wish we would start to calm down a wee bit. There's 30 games to go yet. I know I'm going to get in my neck about this, but this is the great thing about Rangers Radio. You get a chance to say what you want to say. I go into the chat sometimes, but they're giving me a bit of hassle in the picking on the old guy. But no, everybody's got a great attitude and opinions to say, and you've got to say it, but I think we need to start calming down, guys. I don't know what you think about that.
I'll take it across the board to Southside first. Obviously, Davey's looking for a bit of calmness, and are we going to get that come Thursday night, mate, when we travel to Sturm Graz in the Europa League to try and get 3 points on the board over there? Is it going to be calm? Are we going to be tense? How do you think it would go from the fans' point of view as well as the players and the game itself?
Like any European game, when you travel abroad, first and foremost, you hope you get a win. And if you don't, then you want to try and get a draw. Listen, you go many a time in Europe where you see defeats travelling to watch Rangers. Our many managers, Walter Smith and everything included, going back. It's just, Davey, you know, it's at fever point. Internet gets a lot, it's getting talked about. Everybody's pulling him up. He doesn't wear the shoes and he doesn't wear a suit and all that. He doesn't wear the shirt and tie, and the players sometimes don't wear the suits, maybe coming to the games or whatever. They can do nitpicking that to whatever else. Listen, we know it's results, right? I think on Saturday, after the first 5-10 minutes, I thought we controlled a lot of the game. I thought we should have been out of sight. Now, I'm only saying that as I've watched the game. We created more chances than we have of late. And we worked a good goal when Ant-Man put it back across and Tav was in there and he scored a right good goal. If he scores a penalty, we go 2-0 up. Majowski took his chance earlier than that. We could have been 1 up and we could have been 3 up by half time. There was another couple of chances. Raskin was unlucky with a shot. So I thought, on the whole, watching performances over the last wee while, it was a bit better on Saturday for the first 45 minutes. But it's results dictated. I think probably on Thursday night there'll be a big backing for the team for the support that's travelling across. Whether it's by chance after it or whatever, or during it, depending on how the game's going. Whether Sturm Graz are a decent team, they'll be probably decent at home. So, we've had good results in Europe under different managers, which we've been used to coming back with relative success. Even Clement done it when he topped a group that we thought we couldn't. But at the moment the team's evolving and it's changing. They're playing with a lot of confidence. They're playing with support on their back. Every league game I've been to since the start of the season, they've been booed off the park at the end of 90 minutes usually. So, and before it, we're seeing the protests. I wanted to calm down, Davey, a bit, and hopefully it's results driven, and that's the nature of the beast, mate. And whether he does well or no, some people will still not think he's the right guy for the job and want him out. And in time, that will probably happen. But at the moment, I'm hoping Thursday night we get a positive result to come back with, and then we beat Falkirk. And if nothing happens in that window, then Martin will still be the manager in charge till the next window comes out, until the next international break after this one. And it'll be result dependent. But I'd like it to settle down a bit. I understand it. It's unusual that we score a goal and then within 20 seconds it's Martin Getty. Listen, it was what it is. And a lot of people, not just coming from certain sections, a lot of people in the book were shouting and bawling it and all. Some are Waynes, some aren't. Some are even adults. Some are even other side of close to 50, still not happy. But some of them weren't, majority round about me weren't sort of chanting it. But just because of the age demographic, I think, although they're still peed off with the teams we spoke about, I certainly wasn't giving them it. It's not in my DNA to be a Rangers player or to be a Rangers manager. I've seen it in the John Gregg, Jock Wallace days and all that I've seen John Gregg getting it and everything else. Seen fights in the enclosure back in the day, the lot, with it all happening. Nowadays, it's more vocal at the moment, and I just don't think it matters. I think there's a good majority of support want him out regardless, but at the end of the day, we'll want a win. We'll want to see Rangers winning, and if we keep winning, then he'll probably still have a job. And until Rangers decide to change it, then I've got to support him and the team, unfortunately for me. That's in my DNA, mate, and that's what we'll do.
Well said.
You want to come back in there, Davey?
Oh, well, he's a man. He's spot on. He does that every time he does analysis. Alex the same. I mean, nobody's ranting on about wanting to keep this guy. But I'm just saying we need to lay off the team a wee bit. It's not helping them, but it just showed you, even with the way that game panned out. I mean, I put a wee comment on the chat tonight about, they were all talking about Martin, look at the state of Martin getting celebrating. Look at the state of all the other supporters celebrating. You know what I mean? Everybody, you should be celebrating a goal like that for Rangers. But I mean, that's nothing to do with his setup or the way he's got it. I mean, we're talking about the game in general. Suter should get shot for that, the way he picked up that guy, well, the way he didn't pick the guy up. But the manager's not getting to do that, and I am not making any excuses for the manager by a mile. But we've still got a mountain. And what I'd like to ask you, Sue and Alec, do you think Europe is a big concern for us with the way we're setting out our stall in the league?
Would you say, sorry, David, the first bit about setting the stall out?
I'm just saying that, do you think Europe should be such a big, not a big issue, but it's so important that people are saying, well, we can't lose this, we can't get that result. Do you think we've not got bigger problems elsewhere than Europe?
Aye. I do believe that. Listen, we need to get back to winning in Scotland. That's what we need to do, first and foremost. Europe's a gravy. I think it's because we've been doing relatively decent in the Europa League as a team. And I think expectation level usually coming on the Thursday night, you're thinking, well, okay, as I say, we should, in the past we might have thought under certain managers we might go there and win. Whereas a lot of people think we're going to go there to get stuffed. Listen, on any given night, Bruges, what happened to us in Bruges, it's no good standing there on the terrace and watching us getting smashed with another team, and it could have been 6 going on, whatever, 10 as some people said, when amount of chances we gave up. But it's European, and we get punished in Europe if you don't defend properly. We get punished under Steven Gerrard as much as we had good success travelling under Gerrard. We finished games 3 each, 2 each and all that. We're up in games and we lost them with 2 late goals and stuff in Europe because you get punished. You're up against a better standard of team usually. So Thursday night will be Thursday night. I'd like to hope we can get a positive result, Davey. If we can get a win, it'd be great. Of course it would. If we get a draw, it's not the worst result. It's a good result away from home, getting a draw in Europe. And then hopefully you win your league game. But we are where we are, Davey, and we've got a squad and we need to knuckle down. And I think we still need to try and get the midfield blend right, or get 3 players on form playing the way we should be playing, and certainly the work rate, Davey. I don't know what you thought, but in the second half of that game on Sunday, I thought our work rate was disgusting.
It was abysmal. Can I just speak to Alec a minute?
Of course you can.
Are you still there?
Foxes gave me a song. Davey, GTF.
Well, what you see is what you get, guys, and if you don't like it, FKS. I think that's what the young ones say, FKS. I'm not too sure. They put all these wee letters behind stuff. I'm lost. I don't know what they're talking about. Well, give me dog abuse on this.
What's your point,
anyway, what I was going to ask you, Alec, you're for quiet tonight. You got any red trainers on?
And there's no place like home, Davey.
No, but what's your thoughts now? Because you're the same as Sue said. You're very artistic on your deliberation of how you see it, and you call it as you see it. A lot of people don't call it as they see it, because the blue shades come down and we all just go nuts. But I mean, realistically, Alec, what do you think about
listen, Southside and I agree on a lot of things. Obviously, he's a wee bit more experienced following Rangers than what I do, but everybody has their own thought. I mean, the way I see it, the Rangers support have got 2 options. Either get behind your team to hopefully watch them to go on and give them every chance to succeed, or you keep up this, what you're doing, and you're going to, as you said earlier, Davey, for me, they're affecting the team's performance because the anxiety is coming for the stands, and that's making the players nervous. I mean, people can say these formations no good, the players don't know what they're doing, they don't know where. There is a lot of that in it. I've said it before. I think our defensive line causes all sorts of problem. I think the formation should be getting tweaked because we've not got the personnel to implement the style that Russell Martin wants the players to play. So he needs to be honest with himself and adapt his style and formation to the squad that he's got to pick for. But us as supporters that go to the games and back the team, that's your job to do that. Get behind the players, make your protests, make your voices heard. But seeing that 90 minutes on the park, get behind the players and hopefully cheer them on to victories. Southside said earlier, if that's still no good enough and results dictate that Russell Martin loses his job, then so be it. But you know what? Russell Martin will then no have the excuse to point fingers at the crowd and say, my players can't play because they're not letting them play. Take that excuse away from him and get behind the team and see where it takes us.
Spot on, Alex. Spot on, mate.
Josh, you want to come in just now, pal?
The way I see it is that everybody's got an opinion, Robert. We've all got opinions. We're all different. They want to protest. They protest. But we all need to support the team because it is affecting the team. The protests and stuff. It can't be good. You're not going to tell me they're not noticing this and stuff because they're booing and all that kind of stuff during the games as well. Martin get to F and all that kind of stuff, and it's just no good. But as I say, I will never ever go to a Rangers football match, whoever they're playing, and want them to get beat just to get rid of the manager, because that's the only way. It's the only way Russell Martin will be shoved out the door if he doesn't win. That's it. And as I say, I don't want my team to get beat. I want success. And I hope we win the League Cup. Got a good chance. This is our cup final against that mob in the semi-final. Because for me, we'll beat Motherwell St in the final. And I've explained the big pitch and all that kind of stuff. So I want us to win. And you never know what will happen in Thursday. We'll proved before when we've been the underdogs away from home. We've got this knack of clicking and getting a result. I'd take a result, a draw, or 3 points even. Scrappy, whatever. Even if they had 89% possession, because they're no bad team at home, and we got the park 91st minute score, or get an equaliser, that'll do me. Want to Falkirk and get the 3 points, and then we'll be sitting with 10 points, and then we'll be third, going depending on other results, and that's progress for me. That's progress for where we are. 4 draws in the first 4 games and a loss. So yeah, that's what I think, Robert.
Aye, obviously, it's, again, as we say, we look at the fixtures and we can see that there's the cup semi-final. It stands out alone. Obviously, as I said earlier, mate, there's 6 games beforehand to play that. Thursday, as Bridge always says, it's the biggest game of the season. And Davey, given the fact that we started off the group stage of the Europa League with a defeat at home, we should really be looking at this game as a favourable tie and going and get 3 points to get on the board, because I'll be honest, mate, maybe outside of Porto and Roma, I think the draw has been quite favourable to us, and it is about maybe just trying to gel that team, get that consistency going, and if we can get performances, results in the league, take them into Europe, you never know where it can take us, as we've shown before, mate.
Aye, you're right, Robert, you're right. But I've said that, and Josh said, and I'm concerned about the league. And what I picked up on that game is what the boys were saying earlier. The second half, what was that all about? But that's, can analyse that as much as you like. He's got to see that error, and it's got to change. If that happens again on the next game in Europe, we're in trouble. So still at time. I know he's not got time, but he'll run out of games, and if that keeps occurring, and they turn up in the second half and on the game there, then he's not got a leg to stand on. But at the moment, we need to stick with it, guys. I know that's hard to say, but that's what it is.
Southside.
As Davey, it's been a hard watch in certain games and all that. You know, it has been a hard watch. You go and you want to make sure that you're creating chances and that was the one thing that we weren't doing. If we're only critiquing it game to game and what we see as we do on the show, I think we moved the ball a bit better. There wasn't so much dilly-dallying about at the back on Sunday. They got the ball and moved it a wee bit quicker. There was some passages of play where we moved it about. Still could be crisper and better. I still think we need the midfield to be settled and find a formula that works. Maybe a Lyle Cameron coming in there somewhere where he can buzz about, he picks up pockets of space, he can get himself forward. Might be that type of player, but maybe we need to come in instead of maybe somebody just, for instance, saying a Diamondi who'll work and graft hard, but Lyle Cameron getting them in more forward positions, and he was doing all right when he was getting a chance earlier on before he got injured. Managed to score for us in Europe and all, and he's proven that he can nick goals. So if he's maybe the one that has to go into the midfield and somebody who we think should maybe get a game and it isn't working, then he gets his chance in the team. I don't know if it's him. Josh spoke earlier and said maybe putting Connor Barron in the team. Who knows? But he needs to find the formula because it's not been working. And Raskin, as much as we know in these games, a really good player. He wasn't that great on Sunday. You know, so he wasn't driving the team forward. He was part of the problem in the second half for the first 25 minutes when Russell Martin decided to make subs, and then they just work a throw in, which they'd done a couple of times because we weren't getting a man out there quick enough to shut it down, and they scored a goal for it. And I think when the players come on, as much as they flung a lot of them on, I think they put the energy back into the team that was certainly lacking. And with a bit of fight and determination, we get the victory. And I was happy coming away for the game on Sunday that we got the victory. I don't want, if the pressure was mounting on them, it'd mount on them. But at the end of the day, I want the players, whether they believe in the manager or not, to go out and try and make sure that they get 1 football games for us instead of dropping points here and there. And then once he gets popped out the door, somebody else comes in, suddenly they can try again. But we're even more points behind than what we should be. So, as much as Ox would say he doesn't fancy errands, it was errands that got us a goal on Sunday that got us the 3 points, mate.
Correct.
Well, boys, we've reached that time of the evening, so last words from yourself, Josh.
Well, thanks for having me on. Great discussion as well. The best team in the land, Glasgow Rangers. Hope we get a result on Thursday. Hope the team plays well. All the support, stay safe if you're going over and come back home safe. Thanks, lads, and I'll catch you soon. Cheers.
Cheers, Josh.
Cheers.
Oh, Davey.
Aye, great guys. Always a pleasure to come on to this show. It's a privilege. Always has been. And I'll just say what Josh just says. Keep believing, guys. Stay safe. God bless the Rangers, and we'll take it for the next game. Good night. See you later.
Cheers, David. Take care, mate. AK.
Thanks to yourself, Rob, for hosting the show, and Southside and our callers for joining us as well. A good discussion. Obviously, our thoughts go out to Billy and that as well today, and well done for the getting up the mountain to honour your son. Thoughts are with you. Thoughts are also with the Bears travelling out to Austria. Hope everybody enjoys the trip. Spending a lot of money as usual to follow their team, and hopefully the Rangers return with a much needed 3 points. You're talking about £500,000 here, I think it is, for the 3 points. So there's money available there to win, and obviously get yourself the 3 points on the table, because Sturm Graz, I believe, lost 2-0. Their first game away to Midtjylland, the first game, so we'll see where it takes us. But thanks again, Rob, and come on the Rangers.
Cheers, pal. Southside.
Hi, good to be on the show tonight with you, Robert, and AK. And it was good to get some callers on and get the thoughts of everybody, because that's what the show's all about. Everybody to come on and give their opinion. Just like to thank all the troops out there on the YouTube feed that have contributed tonight to the show and all. Thank them and people listening out there on Facebook. And as always, mate, it's on to Thursday. Big night in Europe for Rangers. Aye, Sturmgrads get beat 2-0. But they put up a good game. They put up a good fight, because I watched a bit of it, and they were a decent team. But as always, listen, every team's hard in Europe when you go abroad. Been in many trips where I've never seen a win for long enough. And the only good recent times are in the last wee while with Gerrard, Advocat, Walter at times. Listen, if you can get a good result in Europe away from him, it's good to come back to. We got a bad start, so hopefully we'll pick something up on the travels. And always thanks for having us on tonight, Robert. Appreciate it.
Cheers, mate. I appreciate your time. Can I just thank our callers, Josh, Jim, Davey, for phoning in and joining us. Some great points, some great chat they always bring. Fox and Old School Blue for doing the technicals in the background. Everybody out there for listening. And of course, as AK said, our Billy, our thoughts are with you, mate. A great achievement you've done today. So be proud of yourself. Your boy will be proud. All our thoughts from Rangers Radio and our listeners are with you, pal. We'll be back tomorrow night from 8 PM till 10 PM to discuss all things Rangers and look forward to Thursday night's European game away to Sturm Graz. Good night, take care, take it away, Old School Blue.